Hi guys, Writeous Rhema here, and you are tuned into the PrezEx TV.
What's going on, everybody? It's your guy Rag.
This is the exec JB, and you're tuned into
The PrezEx podcast at the PrezEx TV. Tune in.
Salute.
Welcome y'all to another episode of the Presidential Executive. This your homie, brethren over here, JB the exec. This is my homie, my guy, El Presidente, Rag. What it do, my guy?
Man, what's going on, brother?
Man, before we get started, y'all know what to do. Go ahead and like this video right now. Go ahead and share, like, comment. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what I'm saying? Share to be aware, as I like to say sometimes.
So we are well over that 40K and getting close to 400 subscribers.
Yes. So
y'all help us get to that 400 subscribers.
Please, y'all. Please do us a very good solid on that. Rag, since...
Hold up, we forgot. Where can they find us at?
Tell us. Let us know.
So aside from Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, man, y'all can catch us on, you're gonna have to help me out now, Google Podcasts, Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
iHeartRadio,
Amazon
Music, and Stitcher. Yes, sir.
There we go. So anywhere you stream, y'all, we are right there. And Rag, like, you gave me the honors like last week. Okay. You know what I'm saying, to play a Tony. You know what I'm saying? This would be already have been out by the time y'all see this. And, you know, no, I wasn't Play a Tony. No, it was Jason Smith.
Right. From 92.9.
Jason Smith.
Shout out to Jason Smith.
You gave me the honors to do that. And so it's only right for me to pass back the baton to give to rightfully yours to introduce this distinguished guest that we have here.
Well, that means a lot, sir. So who we have on with us today, she is a writer. She is a I don't want to say blogger, more like a vlogger. She's a teacher. She's a photographer, entrepreneur, proud representative of Delta Sigma Theta, the one and only Writeous Rhema.
Writeous Rhema.
Hi guys.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you all for having me on your podcast.
No problem. I've been hearing, you know, some things about you. Just hearsay from, you know, obviously Rag and I think I checked out your socials, I believe, because you got a YouTube page, correct?
YouTube, yes.
Facebook and Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Okay. Now, you on TikTok?
I'm not on TikTok. I think I'm a little too old for TikTok.
She got about like 4 Facebook pages too.
4?
I got a few Facebook pages.
Got some aliases, huh?
Yes.
You trying to run for somebody?
I keep people separate. I keep my people separated.
Okay. How we like to do on the pod, just to, you know, to break the ice a little bit, is just to like kind of start from the beginning of your upbringing, you know, where you're from. Are you from Memphis? You know, are you just coming through, 2-parent household, stuff like that?
Okay.
Holla at us.
Okay. Do I look here or do I look here?
No, we
you can talk to us. Yeah, talk to us. Yeah.
Okay, so I was born to a holiness family, sanctified, Church of God in Christ background.
She said holiness, Rag. You know what?
Right, yeah.
So, you know, my mom, you know, they didn't wear pants and, you know, minimal makeup, no makeup at all, no weaves, no nails, just very. So, grew up in a holiness background. My dad's a preacher. Tried pastoring a few times. It didn't work out, you know, but he's a preacher now. And grew up in a church family. My parents, you know, they met in college or whatever. They met church, college, whatever, and they had me, my 3 sisters. I'm a middle child, so I'm the Jan Brady of the sisters. And my parents both educated. My dad, undergrad, has his master's in business administration. My mom got her undergrad, and she had a Juris Doctorate. She passed away about 5 months ago. So my mom, she was an attorney and everything. So I grew up in an educated, holiness background, 2-parent household. So, you know, in our family, you know, church was important. We went to church at least twice a week. Vacation Bible school, Sunday school, Bible study, church service, conventions, conferences, all the things. So I was very immersed in the church.
Now, when you say Church and God in Christ, like sometimes I get it confused. Like, y'all had choirs, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not the hymns.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of
Church of Christ.
Yeah, you thinking of Church of Christ.
Church of Christ. Okay.
Yeah, my best friend, she's Church of Christ. They don't do prophecy, tongue speaking, musical instruments.
I got you.
So yeah, we were exact opposite. All the charismatic gifts and everything. So I'm no longer Kojic now, but I did grow up Kojic.
Okay.
So are you? So now are you from here?
I'm from Memphis. I was born in Mississippi, Natchez, Mississippi. I was there for like 1 year, and my parents moved to Memphis.
Right. Yeah.
I went to UT Knoxville was there 4 years. Then I came back to Memphis. I got my master's in Christian Studies in seminary. Got my master's, and then in June I'll be starting my doctorate of Christian ministry, of ministry, in June. So
I got to ask you, like, how was the UT Knox experience?
it was different coming from Memphis.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I act like, yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, I went to Wooddale High School, so, going from Wooddale, then going to UT, and I had, like, white roommates, and I'm like...
It's different.
I used a lot of shampoo in there, and so it was different having, white roommates and everything, and, I was like, we were like the minority, so, like, I picked what they call a white girl major, where the white girls only went to college and found a husband. But I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a game. But they went to this. I was a child development major, so the girls I went to school with, they were there to find husbands. Black girls are like, I thought we were here to get a degree.
This is a whole different.
Yeah, that's
whole.
Yeah. Man, we didn't make it. So hold up. So now, so you went to Wooddale. Like, what part of Memphis were y'all in?
East Memphis.
So y'all was out east. Okay. So y'all was in East Memphis then when East Memphis was like East Memphis, when East Memphis was like the spot, was the place to be.
Yeah, when the Mall of Memphis was open.
Yeah, and like the Majestic was like the movie theater. Like, man, you like when we was coming up, boy.
That was a high class day.
Yeah, man, you took a chick to the Majestic. Like, oh, you like her. If you took her to the Majestic, like you
Let's
like
go to Majestic. You
take her to the Majestic. Now you trying not to be seen.
Man, for real. So now I asked you about UT Knox because, and you endured for all 4 years, right?
All 4 years.
Wow. So this is be interesting because most of the people that I knew that, I knew one other person that went to UT Knox that wasn't an athlete. Because I think, being an athlete, I think your experience can be a little bit
different.
You know what I'm saying? So that was cool. So that broadened your horizon, and the white women was looking for husbands at the school like that. Okay,
so
that's different.
Because we got to come back to UT Knox and that whole thing. So like in school, like you seemed like you were pretty studious. Like you were a good student. Were you just in academics? Did you do anything extracurricular? I mean, being so involved in church, like were you on any like sports teams or cheer teams or school like projects, or was like
student
just
council?
Mostly, was it just mostly church?
Well, actually, so I had a prodigal daughter experience in college. So I grew up in church, but my freshman and sophomore year, I don't say I wowed it, but I did. I had fun. UT, when I was there, it was the number 16 party school in the nation. I think just 5 years prior, it was the number 1 party school. So I went there. I had fun. I had fun in college.
And most women that have come on the show, I asked them, would it be rude for me to ask your age?
Yeah, I'll be 38 July 15th.
Okay, so it puts something in my mind, like I'm thinking, okay, UT Knox, because I went to TSU.
Okay.
From 2000 to 2004. So I've made some runs up there to UT Knox sometimes, some weekends, some around there. So you was around the same time. So I just to kind of see kind of what was going on. So you were involved in, not involved, but just like, I'm a PK too. So. When I went to college, I had, my lay of the land, doing my time, there as well. So it sounded like you had a similar version of that. And so you can continue. You came back around and what happened?
My freshman year and sophomore year, I was just like, wow, this is so much liberty and freedom here. So, I had a group of friends who were kind of the wild girl that I used to, drink a little bit, smoke a little bit, club a little bit, twerk a little bit. So, we had fun the first, year and a half. And then I got saved out of a club on a visit back home in Memphis. So first I was in the world, and I pledged Delta. Then I came back home, went to a club on Winchester. I can't remember the name of the club. The club's names changed so much. And I went, and then I came to Christ from the club. So, so when I came back to, so when I was in Delta, I did the media and marketing. I did the flyers and everything. And then they made me the chaplain. So I was the chaplain, and I was the flyer maker and everything. So
when you say saved, like you say you grew up in the church.
Grew up in the church. So you didn't have an experience before you probably went off to college, or it was just like piggybacking off your parents'
faith or whatnot?
It was just like I was very religious. I wouldn't say I really knew Christ. I didn't really know Jesus per se. I just knew we don't smoke, we don't drink, we don't chew, we don't date those that do. We don't. I knew my religion was a list of don'ts. It wasn't a personal knowledge of Jesus Christ. It was don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And so when I did all that in college, I was like, well, I guess I'm not. I knew how to get back to God, but it was like the prodigal son. I lived in the home. I was in the home. I was in the house. And I went out there, riotous living. Then I lost everything, and I'm like, I guess I'll go back to my father's house. So I wouldn't say that I really knew Jesus when I went to college. But I knew how to get back to him when I knew where he was at, but I was not really following him. I just knew how to go to church and do the rituals and everything.
That's dope, because even a year and a half, I think that's a little of a time. It took me about about 5-6 years after, like high school to really come into some type of understanding, I guess, from what I always grew up in. I grew up I'm a PK. My dad was a minister. His dad, they were real cool, part of the clergy and everything else. So I understand. I understand what you're saying in your story. So you did that. Knoxville had a prodigal daughter type of situation going on. So basically going into your sophomore, junior year, you're different, right? Different as far as your mindset, your perspective on things.
Yes.
So how did that go?
Well, it was kind of rocky because all my friends were like, the way my friends could drink. Like we didn't drink no little wine. We drank like Everclear and vodka. We drank hard
Mad Dog 2020,
Jägermeister and smoked marijuana.
I haven't had
So
Everclear.
so all my friends, I didn't have any Christian friends, at home or in college. So I lost. I had like one friend was still, so I kind of doing a Bible study. And then in my sorority, we had parties and stuff like that. So I made the flyers for the party, and I was like, I can't make them my party flyers. I'm saved now. And so some of them were not very happy about that. I'm not gonna go into detail about pledging and everything, but I was not going to participate in all the activities. And so it was, some of them were kind of upset that I wasn't going to participate in everything, but I think some of them, respect me now. They said, okay, she stood up for her beliefs and everything. So it was a little, it was a little awkward. But I knew that's the faith walk. You have to take a stand. You have to make a stand. It's you have to deny some things, and you have to choose him. You have to follow him. So, something I had to do is something I'm still doing to this day. I have to make hard choices. That's the faith walk, is making hard choices.
So, and I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So, the difference, would you say? Because growing up, do you feel like where your faith was at, or what you knew of it, was just because you had to be in the building all the time? Like, because you had to be in there twice a week, so you felt like, I know some of this because I'm always around. As opposed to it actually, how you talked about when you actually had your conversion, it became real to you. It wasn't just because mama said or daddy said. Like, how would you describe where you were at prior to you going to college in terms of like your walk and your faith?
Yeah, well, I guess when I went to college, I honestly thought everybody was Kojic. I know that was naive to be 17, 18. I was like, everyone's Kojic. And I was like, there's Baptist and Methodist and Presbyterian. I really thought everybody was Kojic. And so I went to UT Knoxville. It was like one Kojic church. The pastor had a stroke. He was like 80 years old. You couldn't hardly hear what he was saying. So I was like, well, I can't go to church now because there's only one Kojic church in the whole city that I knew of. And so, so like I said, I never, I guess like when I was, like you said, how it was when I was first, before college, it really wasn't, I didn't know Jesus. I knew rules. I didn't know like Jesus died. I never could say Jesus died for my sin. I just knew repent often, or you may die and go to hell. Like I heard that very often at the altar call. Y'all better go ahead, come to the altar, get saved. Because I knew a young man who left the revival and he had a car accident and he died and went to hell. So it's like we just were hell. It was like church was hellfire insurance. It wasn't like it wasn't about Jesus. It was just like you don't want to die and go to hell. So I wouldn't say I was taught about Jesus. I was taught about hellfire insurance.
And I have a personal question just with when Fro was on. He talked about his conversion experience came in his living room was watching porn.
Wow.
And so like were you like you were in a church, you heard a word or something that kind of what convicted you, or like what happened like within that, like were you just somewhere and it just happened, or were you like in a
because she said she was in the club.
I was in the club.
you was in the club. So
Yeah.
like, what happened in the club? Was it like
Okay, so it's kind of complicated. So I had my first love in college. His name was JC, and so I was very attached. We were first everything. So I know they say never forget your first. So I was at the club. I remember I was on the stage. I was drinking. I was on the stage dancing on my Delta sign on stage. I felt it was some club on Winchester. I can't remember the name of it. By the old Barnes and Noble. It's like by the old Barnes and Noble is it. I think it's called RSVP now or something like that. That's the new place. It's in that area. Yeah, so I came home and checked Facebook and I saw he was in a relationship. So I had dumped him like my third time dumping him, and he moved on to another young lady. And and it's like you said, somebody found Christ watching pornography. I found Christ. I was on Facebook and I was like, my first love, my everything, got a new girlfriend. And so I was so crushed. I was still in my club clothes. I was visiting the home. I was like on a summer, like a school, like a fall break, Thanksgiving break. So I was in my club clothes. I was crying, and I remember going to Temple Deliverance, the church I was kind of raised up in. And I was going to sit here and wait till church start. Like, it was like, I think I left the club around 3:00 in the morning. I saw his post around 3:30, and I waited. I cried till I think I went to church, and they had like a prayer call. So I said I can't go back home. I got to be in church. So like I was answering the prayer call. People calling me for like CDs and prayer. And I was in my club clothes, makeup streaming and my mascara streaming. I was like answering prayer calls, and I knew I knew where to find him. I was decided the prodigal son. I left him, but I knew where to find him, and so I knew. So we went to the Temple of Deliverance, Church of God in Christ, with Bishop G. Patterson was the pastor, and I don't think he was at that time, but he was he's a pastor. And so I found him and it was like God knew how to get my attention. He knew if I break her heart, and I feel like God knows how to get everybody's attention. Some people pornography, some people it'll be a test result. Lord, if this test result be negative. Lord, if this pregnancy test be negative, I'll give my life to Christ. I think God knows how to get everybody. And in my case, he knew if I break her heart, he didn't break my heart, but if her idol gets a new girlfriend, she'll come back to me.
He stomped on that Jonto.
He stomped on it. He twisted a little bit. So that's how I came back. So even though I didn't know Jesus, I knew where to find him. And I'll be honest, I won't say I found him. I knew I gave my life to Christ that day, but I won't say that I really knew the gospel until years later when I went to seminary. I still didn't know the gospel. I knew where the Father was at, but I didn't know the gospel still.
Okay. You answered, of course. Because that's different, man. I think that's why, God is so good in different ways within that. Because like you said, everyone is not the same. It's not a cookie cutter type of, kind of situation, right. Kind of going on. So yours, yeah, like you said, that got your attention. Mine was something different, and you know what I'm saying, as well. So, so you that happened. You're at UT Knox. Your friends kind of alienate you, for the most part. And so you graduate and you stay up at Knox, or you move back to Memphis?
Yeah, I moved back immediately to Memphis, worked with my mom. My mom, she had a law office. So I worked the law office in Knoxville and then had a location in Memphis. I went to the one in Memphis. So, so I worked the law office, and I just, looked for a job in my field, child development. And then I just, I went with my mom to the Kojic churches, but I still wasn't really learning about Jesus. I was learning about do's and don'ts,
Okay, so you majored in child development, and earlier you said that was like a white girl major. Like why? Like explain that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what makes that? I guess because that's my first time actually.
Okay.
Hearing that term.
Well, I'm sure if you watch like red pill channels and stuff like that, like they said the white girls are like they're trained to get married, like they're trained at a young age to get married. And so UT Knoxville, like I had internships with the white girls. Like a lot of my intern partners were engaged, or they were married or getting married. And so like I guess like their parents trained them, like you go to college, find you an engineer or a doctor or somebody's gonna be a lawyer. Like they went to college, but they said we gotta have something to fall back on. So we pick an easy major, child development, child parent studies. So I feel like the easy major. And so they actually asked one time in class, it was like, I think my freshman year I was like the only black girl in class. My sophomore year, second black girl. Junior year, third. So it was like every year another black person would come. Yeah. So one of my teachers actually asked the girls, how many of y'all are in here to get married? And almost every white girl raised their hand. And me and the other black girl looking around like, oh, this is what this was. We didn't. So they were only going there. They wanted a fallback major, but they were like their real idea was just to go there to find a husband. So like this when I learned back then that white girls are kind of geared towards getting married, And the black girls, we were kind of raised to be independent, support yourself, take care of yourself. So that's what stood out to me. I was like, oh, it's really true. They really are.
You just said a word right there. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Rag, what you think about that? Do you see, like, have you seen that? Like this was kind of new. Well, not new. Like, we always kind of had a hypothesis, a theory that stuff like that happened. Mm-hmm. But this is firsthand information for somebody that was like in those classrooms.
So yeah, I mean, well, the crazy dichotomy of it is that, like, on the one hand, because we're both girl dads, right? Mm-hmm. But so you do to a degree, like, yeah, I want my daughter to be self-sufficient, independent, but at the same time, I don't want it to be so much so to the point to where you have this idea that, like, I don't need a man. Men are beneath me. Men are the scum of the earth. Like, I can do it by myself. And I think that a lot of women in our generation, especially, and especially the generation behind us, that's the mentality. But then we wonder why relationships don't work. We wonder why marriages don't work. We wonder why it's so hard to find somebody you're compatible with. And it's because, on the one hand, a lot of women ruin their sons because they treat their sons like their boyfriend. Yep. So they don't learn any accountability or responsibility. They don't own their stuff, And then with the women, we kind of ruin our women because we don't ever, like, they're never wrong. It's never your fault. It's always, like, you could be wrong. And right. I ain't gonna lie, I had to teach me, like, it's to the point now, no, it's your fault.
Right.
It's on you. Own it. You did it. Own it, because I don't want her to get to a point to where when you get into a relationship with somebody, now your anticipation is, oh, you're just supposed to let me win because I'm a girl and I'm batting my eyelashes and, I'm a woman and I'm awesome just because I exist, not because I do anything or I'm good at anything, just because I exist. And so on the flip side of what she was talking about, they're raised to, okay, yeah, you got something that you can fall back on and make your money or whatever, but put yourself in this position.
Right.
For long term.
Because this is going to help out the whole
life
group.
span.
It's not just me. Exactly. It's like I'm looking toward, and I thought, like I said, I really think there's a whole nother podcast episode.
That's a whole.
But it's, I think that's very interesting and part of, like I think Rag alluded to, how we, raise ours as black people. And then, but a lot of people will look at what you're saying as, oh, they just being too submissive as far as the white women. They just, but I mean, yeah, it's.
But then they wonder why black dudes will marry a white woman.
See, yeah.
Which, I mean, and love is love, but I'm just saying,
right.
It's a group of people who specifically will go that direction.
Yep.
Because it's like, if I'm trying to find a partner, if I'm trying to find a companion, I'm trying to make this work, I don't want to have to fight you every day. I want to have to get into an argument with you every day. I don't want to have to prove myself to you every day, because I can't turn being a man off. Like, you expect me to protect you every day. It's certain stuff as a man I'm expected to do every single day. Period. Don't matter what's going on. I could be sick. You're still holding me to a certain standard. And so it sucks when you got to come home and you got a whole attitude with me and I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
And I might not have done anything.
Right.
You're trying to get me to guess and figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
See, that's interesting. So you actually experiencing that, seeing that, like, was that a culture shock to you? It sounded like, because you was in class, like, what's, kind of what's going on. So
it was a culture shock because they was not coaching.
Yeah. It was that one. Then just to see the other black girl looking around like we like, I really did not. I did not know people went to school to find husbands. I thought we were going to get education, get a degree, work hard.
What you do? I mean, both can still be true.
Yeah, but we just, like, if I raised her hand, it was like it was like the professor knew. Maybe she asked a question every year, and it was like she knew the answer was going to be. And they all raised their hand, and there was no shame. It was smiles. There was no shame. It was not like, black girl looking around like, oh, this is rich. So, I knew something was. Then my senior year, I was graduating, like my final internship, I had four white girls in my internship, and they were just like they were just already playing like, I hope he proposes, and they were like picking out the kitchen maid, business they wanted. Like I said that their lives were geared towards family. And me and my black, classmates, they were like, we were geared towards like getting degrees and making money. So I thought it was very cultural. But then I know, in light of like generational things, if you've been generationally, mother's been at home working and everything, and your other generation live after slavery, so I knew like I knew it's not just that moment. It was like generations of mindsets, like survival mode, being raised on survival, being raised on love. So I knew it wasn't just a simple like, it's a secret that they know that we don't know. It was like,
no, we know, but it was, not to cut you off, but I remember just the back and forth comments that I've heard other people just like, well, this is not the 50s anymore, or 40s. This is a new day.
Yeah.
But the white girls in our generation, they like,
it's really not a new day.
Yeah, this is
nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. This is that life we still want to do, and we've seen that it can lead to generational wealth, and just legacies that continue to go forward and move forward and keep a household solid and connected. So.
I mean, think about like what's like. Just keep it a book. Like, if you're gonna really be in the word for real, right? The first command that he gave them was to be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it, or own it, control it, run it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The fact of you being fruitful and multiply will allow you to take control because you got the numbers to do so. In which what you're talking about generational wealth, but we were sold a lie. And we've talked about this before. Oh, go to school, get you a good degree, get you a good job. And so
get in debt.
We were so focused on this. And I mean, but think about it, like even with you, like, are you really based off your degree? Is your job really geared toward that degree? No, you got a job in almost, I ain't gonna say in a completely different field, but you kind of,
it's not in the same
going, you
right.
driving in another lane.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all the stuff I went to college for, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With that English major, that history major, like that just means I know a whole lot of cool stuff. And that's about it. I can break a whole lot of different time periods and topics down, but I'm still paying for stuff. I still pay for my pharmacy tech license that I don't use. I just know what medications not to take.
Right.
But we bought the lie. So now, 35, 40, now you're scrambling. And that's why a lot of people make bad decisions when they're older. Because the time that you should have been, because I mean, like, reality, what? You live a good life at 70 years?
Right.
So if I'm 35, I'm halfway there. I'm on the back nine. You know what I'm saying? And I heard somebody say this, that marriage should not be the finish line. And that's, unfortunately, a lot of us look at it like, oh, yeah, man, that's the finish line. No, that's the starting point. And so if we look at it that way, like, okay, no, this ain't the end result. And that's why a lot of people get so unhappy, because it's like, this is it. This is it. They're looking at it like you at the end. No, you at the beginning. You got to build that thing. You got to make it work. You got to make it grow. You got to cultivate it. But
all about perspective.
We wasn't taught that.
Yep. Or not even taught that, but you don't grow up seeing that example.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're always talking about fathers in the homes and stuff of that nature. And so, it's not taught, but then it's also not seen. And so it's like most people just doing what they see mama and them or their uncle or grandma experience. So like, yeah, you done started something on this one on now.
I mean, even like me, like the men there, like if it wasn't no white, Brad was in school. His dad probably owned a business that his granddaddy owned. He went to school to get the MBA to carry on his father's business. His granddaddy
just to take it to another level.
His granddad didn't even have a degree. His granddad owned a roofing company or whatever kind of company. And so it was like they were just we bought into the college trip because we thought we're doing what they're doing, but they were just doing it to carry on something that was started 100 years ago, and they're just keeping it going. Like what's Duck Dynasty? His uncles didn't go. They didn't go to college. They went to school and got the degree to take it to the next level, but put it on TV. So I feel like there is something to college attendance for, like, of course, doctor, lawyer, nurse, stuff like that. But for most people I know they have money. They didn't go to school. They just flipping houses or real estate. So it's not that. So college it works for certain things, but they're doing it for a different reason than what we're doing. So it works for them because they're doing it to carry on something. The granddad that passed down a house that was paid off and passed on a business that he been opening 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're trying to start something that they've been started 100 years ago,
Right. I mean, it was like you talked about the roofing company. If it's just me going fixing roofs, I don't need a degree for that. But after a while, if I get a whole bunch of houses, now I got more employees. Got more employees, now I got to start doing W-2s and W-4s and 401k. Like, I got to start doing all that. So now my son, he's going to inherit all these employees. And if he does it right, he might double that. So now what started off with me and maybe 4 or 5 other guys, my son took it, 20 or 30 people. Now the grandson took it.
States
right, it's 100, and now we didn't got several locations. Yeah. So now we need somebody that know how to business manage, and that's whether he finished or not. Like on Tommy Boy, he got a job at Callahan Auto Parts. Yeah. Whether it take him 4 years or 7 years, and what he say? I see you finally graduated. He's like, a lot of people go to school for 7 years. He was like, yeah, doctors like. Yeah. But he already had a job at Callahan Auto when he got out. You know, and he knew it, but his dad wanted him to go to learn the discipline and everything like that, because I am giving you the keys to the kingdom, but I need you to have a level of discipline and understanding. Because the dad didn't go to college. His dad owned the auto parts store. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they saw all the photos on the wall, like it was all Callahan's, you know, they had owned, and like what she talking about, like, but
whether they go to college or not, they're gonna have a job lined up, they're gonna have a house paid off, you know. So, you know, it's like I said, it's some stuff that they know that they've been starting years ago that we're trying to, you know, catch up on.
Right. And so that experience seemed like it was an education in itself, other than what you were going to in school. And so when you finished that, you came back to the M, and you say you're working with your mom because she was in the law industry.
Yes, she was a real estate attorney.
Really? Okay. And so that happened, and so how do we get to where we are now, or so to speak?
So you know, when I had my heart broken in college, and after I came back from getting saved at home, you know, so I realized that I was, you know, my first love, got another girlfriend. I wouldn't say I was like, I wasn't clinically depressed. I wasn't like high depressed. It was just like a low key depression I was under. Yeah. And so that's how I came up with Writeous Rhema. I learned like words pulled me out of a pit, like just words. I would just collect a bunch of quotes and put them on a spreadsheet. And I was like, these quotes. So I would just read quotes, and they would just put me out of my dark place. And so I was like, Mistye, why don't you start sharing these quotes? And you know, when Facebook first started out, you had to have like a college email address to go on Facebook. So I've been on Facebook probably 18. It was a time you had to have a college degree, a college email. So you know, so
that's how we started.
Yes, I started out. You know, so I was just sharing my little quotes on there, and you know. And so that's why I got Writeous Rhema. I was just sharing quotes. And even like to this day, how many years later, I just share, like, cause now Facebook is monetizing my Writeous Rhema page now. So they paid me to like, I got to post very frequent. So I may set up like for the next 3 weeks, all my quotes, all my Bible verses, all my stuff for the next 3 weeks ahead, just to get, you know. So I really did quotes, really put me back in piss. And I had people message me like, oh, that quote, I needed that quote, that's so bad. I'm stealing this. I'm sharing this. I needed this, make this public, you know. So I realized like what I learned when I was depressed, when I was in school, just quotes, words put me out of my pit. So, you know, people say, what's Writeous Rhema mean? You know, righteous, you know, like righteousness, but it's like righteous. And then Rhema means like, it's like Hebrew for like utterance. It's Greek, I think it's Greek for like utterance. So it's like divine writing, divine utterance. So I just use words to put me out of pits. And, you know, I do like blogging. I used to blog a lot. I used to write devotionals for my old church, and my last church, God of Christ, I would write devotionals. And so now I'm actually writing a book. I'm finishing up a book now. I'll be publishing a book. It comes out June 1st. Sharing my story about how I came out of a pit, came out some dark places, and just sharing all that in my writing. So,
dope.
You did.
Dope. So you got a book and stuff coming out, and so you say you do vlogs. So you do vlogs strictly on YouTube, or is it Facebook?
Yeah, I share on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just like I'll get like a Rhema download. I'll be driving my car. He's like, talk about this topic, and then I get online, and I'm like, I gotta share this word. So hi guys, Writeous Rhema here, and I just start sharing my word, and you know, so it's like I don't come up with my own topics. It's like God will give me a topic. Like I made a word like 3 months ago, and God be like, it's not time yet, and then something will happen, and it's like, okay, now it's time. And then I share it. And somebody called me, Missy, I'm in my job right now. I'm on the verge of tears. I really needed that video so bad. And it's like, so it's like, I don't think it's just me coming up with stuff. It's like God's telling me what to say. You know, He tells me what to write, what to post. Sometimes I write in my own flesh, you know, everything. Some stuff is just me, but some stuff it be God, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you do that. Like, do you work in the church that you're at now? Do you?
That's a good question. So I don't have a church home.
What? No.
Mind blown. Right, I have not had a church home in 4 years.
Okay.
You know, I've not had a church home in 4 years. I go to church. I'm always in church.
Right.
I'm always in every Sunday. I go to some Bible study. But because of some, church hurt, some church hurt issues, I want to join the church. I want to join the church this year, actually. But it's like I've had a lot of interesting experiences in church. So it kind of, when I want to join, it's like, I kind of back out and I want to join and I'm like watching for red flags. So, but when I was in church, I was, Sunday school supervisor. I was youth ministry. I would teach. I would do photography, videography, media, marketing, things like that. So when I was in church, I was always very involved. Yeah. But I always, like, the closer I got, and of course I know things get messy. I know you can't avoid all stuff, but like I would always get in and see too much. And I would pull out and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And so, so I'm trying to find a balance between, like, I know you can't, 'cause I know there's something that God wants me to do in the local church body. I know, like, sometimes, it's like, well, everybody's already doing something. Everybody's just hiding in one building, doing everything. Memphis is a dark city. Memphis is a very dark place. Like, we don't, like, top everything bad, Now we're number one in STDs. I think a year or two ago, we're number one in crime, So it's like, I feel like the church needs, I believe in local four-wall church. But I believe that there's a need in Memphis for, like, come out into the street type church.
And I asked her a question because actually I was talking to Vic when he was here setting up. And we were talking about a lot of different stuff. And, I brought up, like, this is not, 15, 20 years ago to where now if you felt, called by God or you felt like, I'm saying, this is something that I want to do, usually just maybe my perspective was always like, hey, well, you need to get a position in the church. You need to be a deacon. You need to be a youth pastor or something like that.
Go sit up under somebody who
can
and
put do you that because that was
elevate you, give you that platform.
That was all I saw. That's all we kind of grew up under. You know what I'm saying? And so, but now it's like you're still in your calling, but you're doing it. You're creating your own platform. You're doing, this. This is a platform that we have. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we got to ask people, to let people come see us or talk to us. It's like, to me, and I think that's a good thing. I think we call it, kingdom expansion. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's just not within those four walls. Not saying nothing against it, against deacons or whatever you want to do within your local body ministry. But the kingdom is expanded so further to where now a lot of people, a coworker I was talking to, she prefers listening to podcasts than going regularly, like to a church service. Now, I wouldn't necessarily subscribe to that per se, but I mean, I get what she's saying. You get, fed where you get fed at. You know what I'm saying? At whatever medium or, that is available to you. You know what I'm saying? So I get, salute to you for, doing what God has called you to do, but not necessarily do it in a traditional route, being within the four walls.
I mean, even before like COVID hit, me and my friend, like I met at my last church, me and her, we had like an outreach called Blessed to be a Blessing. So we picked like a different people group every month. We pick a different people group in Memphis, and we were like, no affiliation with the church, no taxes, different status. We would just collect money, and we were like, so like one time we said, okay, we're gonna go to the gas pump and we'll give people free gas. Or we'll go to a nursing home and have like a bingo day with the the old people and give them like a little gift table. We had an eight mother baby shower, single mothers. We picked 8 single mothers, had a baby shower for them, a group baby shower. So like I we were often outside the Memphis Union Mission, barbecuing, playing music, praying, going through the line, praying for everybody, giving them money to go into the mission. So like I still like, even though I wasn't like, even though, and I was still, at the time I was still a member of a church at that time. Mm-hmm. The church I was in, they weren't really, and they had more money than we had. We were just getting, we were using our own money, or we were using cash. People give us cash up donations, but we were still doing more for the community than our own church, because they were doing everything within the four walls with the same 100 people. And we were like, we're going out to the street. I'm gonna go pray for 100 men. I'm gonna go pray for these 100 men out in front of the Union, in front of KFC on Union. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like I definitely espouse to the four wall church. There's you get training, equipped there. For sure. So but I believe that like in Memphis, like I said, Memphis is a very, spiritually speaking, a very dark city. Like, I mean, like all these rates were just everything, like disease, death, crime, everything. It's like, well, if a place is dark, the only way to cast out darkness is the light. if we're the lights of the world, Matthew, chapter 5, if we're the lights of the world, we'll be set on the high hill, but we're all in the different buildings 1 hour on Sunday or 2 hours on Tuesday. And it's like, if all the lights are hidden, all the candles are hidden in one little box, of course it's going to be a dark city. We need to be out there, shining our light, so people can glorify our Father who's in heaven. So that's not why I'm not in church. And I'm still looking for a separate church home. I've been visiting different churches and everything. I'm probably trying to join a church this year because I want to make sure I join a church where they actually have like outreach is important, not just pastor anniversary and choir day, and yeah. I want to find a church where they actually do like Jesus. Jesus, he wasn't just every Saturday in the synagogue. He was actually going out, winning, like feeding people out there, healing people out there. So my faith walk, I want a faith walk that mimics Christ, not just, like we were talking earlier about the man-made religious like denominations. I want a faith walk that matches the Bible. How did Peter's faith walk? And of course, there was a different time, first century, they're establishing the church. So I know we don't have to do everything the Bible way. Cause there was a whole different, there was the beginning of something. But I feel like Memphis could use a lot of more outreach. And I know there's a lot of outreach. There's a lot of people who feed the poor and everything and help people. There's a lot of outreach. But I feel like when I join the church, I want to be where they are very missional minded and centered on helping different people groups and everything. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, because I'm reading the New Testament, so I'm like I got through Acts or whatever, so I'm like went through all Paul's acts of the Holy Spirit and stuff in Acts, and it's like Paul on the way to Damascus had an experience. He wasn't trained for 3 or 4 years, then sent out. You know what I'm saying? He was, he had that experience he had. I think it was a certain amount of time, and then
I was like, go read Galatians because he actually does go over the actual time period of how long it took. Like Acts is kind of a, like in the movie where they show the montage, like the training montage, like Rocky, he running. It's like, oh, that happened in a day. Like, no, that was like 3 or 4 months of him running and jogging, doing push-ups, but they just kept clipping it, so it looked like it was just 1 or 2 days, when really it was a period of time. So, like in Galatians, he actually talks about how long it was after he got converted before he actually went and addressed the brother, and he spent time.
So how much time was it?
Yeah, it was that before he started doing his missionary journey. It was a 15-year period.
Before he started doing the missionary period. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, see, that was said you got to go back and read Galatians. I believe it's not chapter 1 of Galatians, but he actually talks about his conversion. He was like, after I was converted, I went and sat with the brethren here, and I didn't see nobody else. I stayed amongst a group of brothers there, and then it was like 15 years before him and Barnabas got presented before everybody, and they were called apostles and sent out.
Yeah, I gotta read that. I can't.
That was like, because I actually I forget what I was teaching a class or something, but I was saying like a lot of us have this kind of cookie cutter mentality of like it's supposed to happen right now. And I'm like, when you look in the scripture, like David got anointed as the king at like 16, he didn't become the king until he was 40. You know what I'm saying? Like Joseph had the vision as a teenager. He didn't marry Pharaoh's daughter till he was in his 40s. Jesus at 12 was in a synagogue and then had to go for another 18 years learning carpentry. And it was 30 before he came out. John the Baptist, again, leaped in the womb. He was 30 before he went proclaiming the way of the Lord. But in today's mind frame, like we look at like the Soldier Boys, oh, he put out a YouTube video, he got all these. But when you look at the people who got it like that, and I think we was talking about this when we was talking about like Lil Romeo, like now, I don't know if he could sell a rap album. But you got a guy like Jay-Z. Jay-Z was almost 30 before he, blew up. Like Kanye had got rejected by a lot of people before he blew up. And so, but when you look throughout scripture, like for the most part, anybody who had a lasting impact, like Noah was telling people for over 100 years it was going to rain. Oh, yeah, man, you crazy. It's going to rain. He out there building the boat. Hey, y'all, it's going to rain. Like, it was over 100 years of him building that ark and people looking at him like he a fool. And he did that. So even like with Paul's conversion, it wasn't a bam.
So you saying 15 years before he went?
Before he got sent out.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
Yeah, no, that like go read Galatians. Because in Galatians,
I'm going to read it.
So you got to remember now, Acts is written by Luke. Luke is writing this to a Roman official that he was cool with, that he was trying to convert. So he's kind of trying to tell him all the good stuff that's been happening. So the Gospel of Luke and Acts, because he was there with them folks, he was a traveling companion, but he got to tell 20, 30 years worth of history, like in, 20 chapters of a book.
Then
So-
it depends on like the commentator. Like some commentators, some commentators say I heard 3 to 4 years, and then like I said, Paul.
I didn't see no. I heard that's what I've heard.
Like now,
something
Paul
like 2
and
to 3
Barnabas,
years, something
now
like
the
that.
Jewish people may have acknowledged them 15 years later, but
Right.
he was like, I was called by Jesus, so
Right.
they may not have acknowledged him to 15 years later, but Jesus acknowledged him
Exactly.
maybe 3 years. So it's like it depends on which commentator you
So
ask.
that's what I'm talking
Right.
about.
No, I'm not saying
from-
he didn't get it. No, I'm not
yeah.
saying he got the calling, but I'm saying he
The
didn't
Jewish people did not
immediately
acknowledge
start his work. He wasn't writing his
You're talking about his official work, but I'm just talking about doing Jesus' work.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like he didn't, because again the deal was it took time for people to really believe and see. He had to keep coming, being visible. Is he trying to kill us? Like this the dude. What he doing here? Like he was just, and he constantly coming, showing up, constantly, being consistent, constantly saying, "Hey, this ain't a game. Like I'm one of y'all for real." And he said, like, after he initially got converted, he did see Peter. But then he went back there, you know what I'm saying, and chilled out. So then when he got, because again, only God can call you to be an apostle. Men can't call you to be an apostle.
Right.
So when him and Barnabas went on their journey, it was like, oh, these two have been called by God to be an apostles. But there was a period of a certain amount of time. It wasn't just like, 1 minute he out killing niggas, then the next minute, he'd tell an evangelist. But like I said, you got to go.
Yeah,
See, that's what I'm saying. But see,
yeah.
I didn't know that till I was actually studying Galatians, and he's actually talking about his own conversion. And you got to remember, Galatians is him telling his own story. Acts is not him telling his own story. Acts is written by Luke. So Luke is just talking about a lot of different stuff because he's covering Stephen, he's covering Paul, he's covering Peter. He's got Barnabas in there. He's got Apollos in there. He's got a whole bunch of different people that he's talking about because he knew all of these people, but he's trying to tell his homeboy all this good stuff is going on, and he's trying to include everybody, but he's not chronologically going to, okay, so then in month 10, then in year 5, like he's just talking about, and so this happened, and then Philip went, and he got an Ethiopian saved, and this Ethiopian went and evangelized all Africa. But that was just one little part of that. So, like I said, you gotta.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're thinking about different perspectives because I don't think Paul waited 15 years to do the work.
Like I said, you gotta go look at it.
No, the actual work of.
No, I didn't say
of
you wasn't
impacting
doing
the
work.
kingdom.
I've heard 3 to 4. I heard first he was blind, and he said, "You gonna meet this man."
It was some time.
It was some
but
9 over the 8. So like I said, but that may have been how long the Jewish people accepted him.
Right.
But I know that I heard 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Right.
But it depends on which commentator you ask. Some commentators
Right.
may say 15. Some commentators may say
Yeah.
3 or 4. So it depends on which commentator you know. Ask.
I read it up, but I ain't until I buying on 15 years till he started to work in the ministry. So I had to look that up offline on that time. So you do the vlogging, you do whatever that you feel prompted or led to do.
Yeah, I actually started a Bible study. I'm on episode 21, a Bible study series.
Okay.
So it's like one of my passions is increasing biblical literacy in the Black church. I came from a Pentecostal charismatic church where it was exciting to just shout and holler. They were just like, it was just, they didn't really know a lot of things. They were just shout and holler. And so, it's like I got my master's in Christian studies. So that was important to me, that I just wanted to understand the Bible better. And so I have like a 20-part series. So I have like a series. I have like I think I'm on series 4, on the 21st episode. So the first one was like the Bible, 10 episodes of the Bible. Then 5 episodes on the church. Now I'm on a theology series. So like theology of Jesus, who Jesus Christ was in the Bible. So, I feel like even though I'm not serving in a local church, I'm still feeding the people, about the Bible, electronically, what I'm saying? I hope maybe I get the video series, maybe I get it published one day or whatever. So, yeah, so I'm still doing ministry, but not in a, and even like one church, I wasn't a member of a church, but I visited one church and they were They go Memphis in May, barbecue festival. They always evangelize. So I say, hey, I'm not a member. Can I go evangelize with you all? And I went up there and evangelized with like 12 people. So so even though I'm not in a local church, I still serve. I still serve. I still give. I still praise God. So, but I know like in the South, it's kind of controversial to not have a pastor. It's very controversial. And I had a pastor ask me a few weeks ago. He said, "Hey, do you mind coming to speak in my church?" And the person he asked was, "Who's your pastor?" And so I knew he was kind of thinking like, are you out there rogue somewhere? And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm a little rogue. Like, you see my sweatshirt. This is my clergy shirt. I'm kind of like, I'm not typical in ministry, but I am in ministry.
That's good. That's good. Because, I get that to a degree as far as, we were going to a home church that I know is like, it's kind of a verification thing. Like, okay, who are you under? So I can, because maybe I know that person. And so, you know what I mean? So, I'm with you. If that's, you know what I'm saying? Because it sounds like you're already in your vein or in your calling and doing what you do. So, given Writeous Rhema, like you're no kids, right?
No kids.
No kids yet.
Not yet.
You want kids? Or?
I want. I'll be 38 soon, so of course, I'm kind of like,
Oh, it can happen. Don't say that.
It can still happen.
Yeah, for sure.
I know Kevin Samuels say 37 is no man's land.
Oh, no.
I finally got a man.
Here we go.
But yeah, so cause like I would have already one or two, depending on how long, cause at my age they consider that geriatric pregnancy. At my age, they have a child we call geriatric pregnancy. So more risk involved. But yeah, I wouldn't mind having a child or two. But I've been going to school, so it's like I know the kind of like I think like. The kind of ministry I'm gonna be in, I may be traveling some, and so I don't want to start something I can't finish. I want to make sure that I'm able to be there for my children. I want to be an involved parent and everything. So it's all with the Lord. The Lord says have children, I will. If He say don't, if He say get married, I will. If He say don't, I won't. So I'm really just like whatever God says do. I'm just really like full surrender at this point. So
I'm with you. As we wind down here, Rag, you got something else? I see you looking.
Because like I said, like that's Galatians 1 and 2.
We're gonna have to look offline. Yeah.
So we talk about that. Because like I realized that was something. In that part anyway, that was something that I was passionate about, and so anytime I'm passionate about like stuff that I know doesn't necessarily come from like somebody telling me, hey, preach about this. Like it was something I was really on or telling people or myself and so for a long time. Like I was going, oh man, this can happen. You immediately, you know what I'm saying? And like just out of nowhere, I was looking up something else in Galatians. The Holy Spirit took me to the very beginning of it. I wasn't even looking for that. And it was like, dang, I've been telling people that wrong for years. Because I was passionate, like this was passion to Christ, Roche. Like I for years, I was telling people wrong about that. So, but no, I do have that reference. We'll talk about it. How did you get into photography?
Church got me into photography. The church was like, hey, we got a pageant here. And so I know your sister had a nice camera. So I brought my camera. So church got me into photography and everything. So 8 years later, I'm doing photography. So it's like my side hustle. Hey, it could be maybe one day be a full-time thing, but I'm trying to focus on like I'm sitting in my mom's law office. Like she been in the law office for like her and her partner for like 25 years, and so I feel like I kind of want to, she passed away 5 months ago. So it's like I'm still kind of like, do I stay loyal? And I know she wanted to pass it down to me, my sisters. Like one of my sisters is a lawyer, the other sister's a closer, and so I work there. So it's kind of like, do I want to keep doing this? But, photography could be a full-time thing for me, if I went that way. So it was 8 years ago, church photography. Church helped me with it.
Dig that. So you do like weddings, whatever that you get your info from, like you get that from, do you have Rag did tell me you had like 4 different.
Yeah, no, because she got one of them that's her personal page.
Yeah,
then she's got Writeous Rhema. Then she's got Pics and Pixels.
Okay.
And
that's just Facebook.
And then no nigga formed against me shall prosper. She got. No, I'm just playing. Y'all have to see that shirt she had. That we were tripping about that off camera.
I love good sweatshirts.
Right.
So then also nothing I do. I meet with like for the past 4 years, I've not had a church home, but I have met with like a group of believers on Tuesdays called Celebrate Recovery. So it's a group of believers. It's like a Christ-centered recovery group. So it's kind of like AA, but it's for Christians. But it's not just for alcohol. It could be for depression, anxiety, grief, codependency. So they're like, it's a Christ Center recovery group. So I'm actually, I'm actually testifying Tuesday. So it's like to a group of people. I teach there sometimes. So I feel like I know the importance of community. I know the importance of Christian community. So I know some people get church hurt. Say, I ain't going to church ever again. I'm done with the church. I've never been the kind of person ever. I'm always like, stay, because I know like it's a spiritual word out there. You need, it helps to have a pastor. Like my dad's a preacher, so I don't have a church. I know somebody's praying for me, Celebrate Recovery, or him. So it's like I would never tell, especially in like all the principalities in Memphis. Yeah. I wouldn't tell somebody to go out there and just be like, your pastor hurt your feelings. Just leave church and come back. I would never tell somebody that. I always like, cause the devil, like even like you watch like National Geographic, you see the the little lone gazelle, the lone antelope, and the sheep, and the roaring lion is looking like, okay, you by yourself. So I would say, okay, how hurt you been in church? Like find another church. If you don't join, just visit. Just stay every Sunday. Don't just leave church, because the devil can pull you away, and and you never. I had friends who left the church. They were angry about something, never came back. Now they're in some Black Hebrew Israelite or some other type of African religious and African religions and everything. So, I would just say don't. I hope nobody thinks I'm saying like when you get hurt by church, don't join for 4 years. It's not what I'm saying.
Right. But you made a good point, because I think just for the point that you made alone is good, just to be a part of a local body, just for the connection in corporate prayer. You know what I'm saying? To be connected, to be on a list. I know at Breath, it's always, certain people or whatever situation's going on, just to be, on somebody's always interceding, what I'm saying, and praying for you. That alone, what I'm saying, is I think is worth it to be a part of a local body. Obviously there's other benefits as well, but
And then we all have blind spots. So like if you're your own source of truth, everybody has a blind spot. Everybody has a blind spot. So you could think you're doing okay, and a church mother may say, "Hey, sister so and so, I was praying, the Lord showed me this about you," or "Hey, bitch, I noticed that you ain't been coming around." So it's like, because we're still like a group. We're still like community people. We need to have somebody watching our back, or my dad, he's a deliverance minister. He does like casting out devils. My dad's in Louisiana, so I've heard the stories about you gotta like principalities over different reasons and everything. Yeah. So I still like, that's why I always stay in around believers, because it's especially in Memphis. You're in Memphis. If you were like in Idaho somewhere, you may be safe, whatever. If you're in Memphis, you may get your car.
There's a whole lot of demons in Idaho too, though.
Oh yeah,
and Wisconsin and Wyoming.
It may not be the kind of jack your car. It may not be kind of
it kind of burn the cross in your front yard.
Yeah. So, but if you're a Caucasian,
in Tennessee they just took that out. Huh?
They like to dress up like ghosts. Oh yeah. When it's not Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but back in Memphis, you met like the police are passing out steering wheel locks. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, for Kias, Nissans, and Hyundai. Yeah, so like if you're in Memphis, you definitely probably need to be around some spiritual people, getting some prayer.
I think that, and I'm not saying it's not a spiritual component to it, but I don't know if y'all familiar with the passage of scripture in I believe it's Kings, where God had told David not to number Israel. Because basically, in essence, it's like if you're numbering Israel, you're showing people that your strength is in your numbers, is not and not in me. So when David brought some people to come look at the kingdom, the first thing he do is he started counting out how many chariots, how many soldiers. So he did exactly what God said don't do. So the prophet came and told him, like, God finna get you right. Like, so, but because of your relationship with him, he's going to let you pick your punishment. And so David was like, well, I don't want my enemies to get me, or else, that'll make you look bad, and they'll, take your name in vain. I don't want the enemy to get me, to be disrespectful to you. I don't want life to get me, because life doesn't discriminate. Like if it's a tornado or an earthquake, it just get innocent, guilty, whatever. He said, I'm going to let you get me, because I know your judgment is true, and you're going to be righteous in that. And so the very thing that God told him not to do, which was number the children of Israel, that's what ended up happening. He ended up losing a large portion of that, people. And so what the Lord revealed to me in that it's like, a lot of times when we look at life, we're quick, especially being in church, everything like the sound system go bad, that's the devil. You know what I'm saying? That sound system that's the same sound system that came when y'all bought the church. That's not the devil. That you need some new wiring or some new cords, but I know you probably been in some churches like, especially like when we was, doing music and stuff, going to different places, rapping. Man, we go and we looking. I'm talking about this cobwebs and you know what I'm saying, stuff popping. And they're like, oh, the devil trying to stop. And I'm thinking to myself like, that ain't the devil. Like y'all need to plug that in another outlet. That ain't got nothing to do with
this
the
time.
devil.
That ain't the devil. You need to upgrade.
So here, I do believe it's some spiritual components, but like, what's the difference between now? And I know you probably can remember. I know you can remember. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, like when we was coming up, we was kids. It was stuff for us to do in the summertime. It was summer jobs. It was, so you didn't have a high, your kid was safe, in 1997 because folks had stuff to do. Mm-hmm. Now when it's nothing to do, what's that old saying? Idle hands is the devil's worship. Like when you don't have anything to do, like most of the time, going back to David got in trouble with Bathsheba because the passage starts out, it was the time when kings went to war and David was at the crib. Mm-hmm. David was supposed to be out there with his soldiers. David's at the crib walking around. Mm-hmm. She was doing what she's supposed to be doing. Nobody was supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. She was she was taking a bath where they took baths at. Nobody was supposed to see her. David was supposed to be, but David was idle. Yep. And so when you're idle, now you start thinking. When you start thinking, then if you start talking, plotting, it's like, man, who is that? But now once you start talking, the next thing is action. Yeah. And so like a lot of these kids, they ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah, and sometimes I think sometimes we do over spiritualize things. Like people will say, oh, what we need now is more Jesus. And I was like, the black church got plenty of Jesus. Right. I said the Muslims don't have Jesus and their kids ain't filling up the prisons. The Buddhists don't have Jesus and they fill up the prisons. So it's like I really think fatherlessness is like the main issue in inner city. Like every bad statistic, suicide rates increase if you have no father. Juvenile delinquency, mental illness, teenage pregnancies. Everything, when you don't have a father, every statistic is high for people that. So I do. Right, so sometimes we try to say, "Oh, just y'all need to come to prayer. That's why the city's so bad. Come to prayer. Y'all need to." And it's like we need more fathers. Fathers keep the kids busy. Fathers say, "Son, go out there and watch the car. Go out there and cut the grass. Go out there and help me with this." So I do feel like sometimes we over spiritualize the ills of a society, and it's really just like I said, the Buddhists and Muslims don't have Jesus. Mm-hmm. My sister's a public defender at 201 Poplar. All her clients look like us,
and somebody and they mama go to somebody's church, and their
mama but some of their mama probably stay in church, and so I do think sometimes the black people, sometimes we are a little too superstitious about, we gotta bind the devil. It's like it ain't all. Sometimes it's just like with the whole college thing. Yeah, it's like this is family. The dad had something to pass down to the son. The mother taught the daughter to go to school, get a husband. So sometimes black people, I think we do over spiritualize this regular the society, family, mother, father, even not stepfather or a coach or an uncle or somebody step in. So I think sometimes we do over spiritualize, and sometimes like if we have fathers, more black fathers, and like what's that, 70% of black kids fatherless homes, 75% of black kids fatherless homes, and if we got that in check. But of course, women have to do a better job of picking father type men. Don't pick the first man at the club you meet who a dope dealer who got 8 baby mamas. So I do sometimes women have to do a better job at picking better fathers.
Well, but even so, to the spiritual side of that though, I think so let's say you're in a situation where you do have a child with somebody, y'all are not together. The spiritual side is that society says it's okay for you to keep your child away from the father. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff we need to be praying for. Mm-hmm. Okay, this child happened, but keep in mind now, you probably know being in school, if it wasn't for the grace of God, you could have more children than you had. Lord, like it's times I was with a chick for over a year, and I know we would like careful went out the window in month 3, nothing. The very next dude she talked to, like dang, and but obviously you know my gun still works. Obviously, like ain't a problem with my gun. But so for whatever reason, God did not allow that situation to happen with that person. We don't have no control over life because we know plenty of people who married, do everything right, wait until they get married, can't have kids. You know people don't have no desire to get married, ain't trying to do nothing, and got 17, 18, 19, and it's like, or in some cases, like I said, you be with somebody, they don't never have a kid, the next dude they get with. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But the spirit that we need to be praying against is that spirit of you need to keep him. You don't need that man. You know what I'm saying?
Or the fathers are like. I even heard like it was a study they were saying like like fathers mother homes, 2-parent home and father really at home. And they said the kids like juvenile delinquency, the kids are better off with mother, father, or father alone. When they were about mother alone, the rates were horrible. When they were with the father alone, the rates were just almost as equal as having a 2-parent home. So like fathers are really important. So I do think like crime, like I'm talking about 80%. The thing was 80% of runaways, 70% of mental illness, 60% of suicides. All these rates were tied to fatherlessness. Rape, 80% of rapists fatherless. So I do feel like the courts could do a better job. Sometimes parents don't want full custody, but they need a better job of like, we need
joint custody.
Yeah.
Do a better job of getting even if it's not the biological father, it could be just having like kids being exposed, get coaches. Having youth pastors, having an uncle, they need to have more father figures because like that's the true crime deterrent in America for black communities is going to be fathers. It's not going to be Jesus in church. I know that sounds bad to say that, but we got church.
Yeah, and like from what you said, your point, like I think that's always been the question or the divide. I think in the kingdom, I think it's been like. Because the spiritual is there. Like we know God can do miracles and we've seen in the word.
We're going to pray and everything.
Right. We know that's there.
You can do it.
Right. But it's like the balance of it. Like what does that look like in practical ways? You know what I'm saying? To where just like you said, certain things, okay, we need more black fathers in the home. But then also we need, for the woman not to do their part in chasing away you know what I'm saying, the fathers and having this stuff. Like it's a two-way street. Not saying, the men shouldn't take responsibility, but I think, I can just speak, maybe for more so the black church, some of the black church, at least that I've experienced, like they coddle more to the women because they are the majority of the congregation. Right. And so in that,
you don't want to say nothing. You're not going to show your core base.
Right. You're not going to say nothing that's going to be like, hey, well, I didn't like these last couple messages, so I'm just gonna go and go to some other church. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I heard Jamal Bryan. He was doing some coddling.
Don't talk about him, boy.
He got your initials now.
I know, right?
He was, but I think it was whenever Kevin Samuels died, Jamal Bryan was speaking on it. And
he was calling.
Like, amen, pastor.
He was calling.
He was calling hard. But he always kind of.
That's what he do.
But to go, what you were just saying, like in this part, like Scripture says, things are first natural, then spiritual, and we forget that.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And so now we can do all this praying, but God is like, y'all ain't fixed the natural stuff. So when you get through praying, what is it for these kids to do? Like when we had DJ Black on, remember what we talked about? We was in the church. We get to a certain age, you don't have nothing for us to do. We know how to pray.
Yeah.
We done been in some places where we done not even prayed. We're rapping and seeing demons get cast out. You know what I'm saying? Like we done been in some places we're rapping and seeing kids just start praying in tongues. And nobody laying hands on. I'm talking about immediately. They just start 40, 50 kids just got their hands up crying, praying. And so like, ain't nobody say no scripture. We sitting up rapping about, you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't, and thus saith the Lord, we didn't do that. So, but when
we got the spiritual, we got that part.
Yeah, but what are you going to give the people once I clean them up or once I heal them up? And even Jesus gave a parable when he talked about like when you cast a demon out, you clean the house up, that demon go looking for something. But when he come back, if you don't have a strong man there to protect the house, he got 7 more, and each one of them is worse than he is.
Yeah, man. I think we do need systems. Like, like once you get me clean, like it's like raising a baby. You can birth a baby, but then the baby's sitting there like, now what? Well, here's a classroom, here's a book, here's a TV, here's a crib. Like you can, like I think Black church we create soul, we save the soul, but we don't make disciples. Jesus didn't say go get a bunch of churchmen. Right. He said make disciples of all nations. So we posted. So I think like I went to a predominantly white church today, and they have like systems and programs. And as soon as you get saved, you go to here, new membership class, learn this here, you go here. Like I think Black churches we shout, scream, cast the devil out, roll on the floor. Then what? Then what? You just then you come to church next day. Don't do this. Don't do this. But I think we need systems like in church, or you need in the word, like why kids go to camp. You go to camp, you go to your auntie at the lake, and you go to the lake, and you go to the winter, you go to the ski Alps. Not saying all of them have money like that, but it's like they have like systems that keep them busy. Go to the sports team and get on this. I think we need to have. Of course, it's not gonna easy quick fix. It's gonna take a long time. Yeah. But like somebody has to be like systematic. It's like if it's systematic oppression, it needs to be systematic, like redirection, systematic. Put them in certain things. Keep your eye on them. Watch them. So I think the best thing right now is like sports is the easiest, quickest thing. Give them the sports. Right. These are gonna be accountable to somebody. But I know a lot of inner cities don't have the resources or the manpower or people who are brave enough to go. I used to work in youth villages. And them girls were rough. I'm not no rough and tough type person. I had to work with these rough girls, and they was cussing me out and bigger than me.
I mean, but you know what? Memphis can't be too broke, because before they cut all this stuff out, we was trying to bring the Titans here. Mm-hmm. We couldn't have been too broke. We brought the Grizzlies here. Mm-hmm. We can't be too broke. Like, you see what I'm saying? We not. They're constantly gentrifying. We're not too broke, but the scripture says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." The problem, the spirit that Memphis has is greed. That's the root of it. The reason why we don't have these problems is because these elected officials, these politicians, greed. Yeah. You always trying to, we ain't got the money, but then and it's constantly corruption. People spending money on these trips and swiping the company card for all of this, but you don't have nothing for the kids to do. So it's that spirit of greed that's taking these systems away. So now, to your point, we can make all these programs, but if we don't have no money coming to it, what are they going to do? And even from the church aspect, like let's say we was to start a church. The church don't belong to us. Yep. Mm-hmm. We can't run it like a family business. While it may be cool for, EJ and Toby, like maybe, Charity, Chaz, McKay, like they can do, but if they don't, that's fine. Right. It should be somebody that we have discipled to come. Because the ministry got to keep going. It ain't about the church. It ain't about who name on the building, because it's not mine. But that greed mindset of, I built it. No, you didn't. Right. God called you to work through you. It don't belong to you. You didn't found anything. God founded it. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But and it's a lot of them. And I'm like, hey, if it hurts somebody's feelings, it is what you didn't found it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If God told you to do it, you didn't find it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like you telling your son to wash the dishes. You're like, I did the dish. Yeah, y'all respect me. I did it. No, you told him to do the dishes. Yeah. If you didn't tell him, he wasn't. You know what?
And you bought the dishes and put the food on.
You see what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. So, but the mentality with a lot of the churches and stuff here is it's mine. And my nephew or my grandson or my son or my daughter, they gotta run
my legacy.
Yeah, no, it's not your legacy.
This is my legacy.
You supposed to have a kingdom legacy.
Yep. Yeah.
And so from the natural side, we see it with the politicians and stuff like that. On the spiritual side with the churches, it's greed. That's the spirit we should be fighting against and praying against. That is the spirit, because it trickles down. You know what I'm saying? Because from greed, you get covetousness. I want what you got. I want yours. That's why all these folks stealing. But ultimately, what's the big brother of covetousness is greed. You see what I'm saying? And again, for the love of money, or for the love of stuff, for the love I gotta get, for the love of me, for mine, that's where the root of all evil is.
Yeah, and in the Old Testament, in the Old Testament, you'd be amazed that most of the prophetic books are talking about injustice. It's like the prophets are going against a priest or a king or a prophet that's twisting, they're perverting justice, taking something from the old, from the widows or from the orphans. So a lot of Old Testament prophecy, nowadays we do, you don't get a car and a house and a spouse. In the Old Testament, it was just God telling them, go tell the people, the Old Testament was against systematic oppression. It was against the powers that be oppressing the little person, So it is that's his message in the Old Testament. But then also there's a balance between, thinking that we have to be rescued. I need the white man to rescue me. We don't sit here in our little struggles and ghettos and projects until the white person. So I also thought, I don't look to a white person to save me and help me. But if you are given the money, the grant money and the money to help the systems, I expect you to use the money appropriately. But we got to hire the right people, put the right people in place, let the right people. But I feel sometimes if you stay in a victim mindset where we need it, because they're not going, they don't value us. You said they value The Titans, the Grizzlies, the FedEx, the gentrification, all those condos they built up, that was for the white kids from Nashville to come move to Memphis. And the people left from Amazon and California to come and live in Memphis because they were working from home since the COVID. They were building, all those condos were built up for white people. So they value white people. They value them. Cross and Concord is built up for white people. So we know in Memphis in the South, they value, actually in America, they value white people. Yeah. So because we know that we can't make them value black people. So for us to think that they're going to be our hope, I don't look to white people to help me. Yeah. And Jesus is gonna help, but I feel like we gotta, instead of being in a position of help me, rescue me, help me, fix me, it needs to be like we need to see an empowered mindset. I don't know if you ever heard of the drama triangle, Cartman drama triangle. It's like a triangle. It's like the triangle is like a victim, a persecutor, and a rescuer. So you say forever in this little bottom triangle saying help me, rescue me, but it's another triangle. It's called, I think it's Wolfman. They flip it upside down, and you become the creator. And there's a challenger and there's a coach. So instead of looking for people to always help you rescue, like help me, rescue me. If you've seen the projects in the ghettos since Bush, they've not changed. Clinton, it has not changed.
Even before then, Reagan.
Barack, and you think, Barack
Reaganomics.
So Barack it's gonna be Barack. He the black man, 8 years. Barack gonna help us. They're the same. Yeah. Trump, it's the same. Some saying Biden, some saying the products and the gifts and the inner city is not going to change because a white man in a white office or a black man in a white office. Right. We're not going to be rescued. So no one's coming. Like I said, no one's coming to rescue you. No one's coming to rescue us. We're gonna have to get our own empowerment. No one's coming to rescue us because nobody really values black people. I hate to say it like that, but.
And we don't even value each other.
Yeah, so you said Memphis, when they got money coming, they value you, they'll build a whole stadium around you. They'll gentrify your whole city. So when they value you, you'll get what you need. So I'm saying, if we see they do not value us, we can't sit here in the victim role waiting for them to come. You're gonna come fix our schools now, you're gonna come. And they will do, a little fix in the school every now and again.
Tax write-off.
Yeah, but
but you know what's crazy though? To that point you talking, like, do you know how much grant money is available from the government for churches and nonprofits? Yeah. But going back again, do you know why nothing ever get done? First of all, your paperwork got to be right. But if you do, you know what? Most of the time that goes for you building a building. But for what and for who? You ain't got nobody in there.
No manpower.
But you see what I'm saying? But so instead of you getting that money and saying, you know what, JB? We don't want you working for the Navy no more. We need your gift. So some of this grant money that we got, we need you to be full-time about the business of the ministry. About the business of saving lives and transforming souls. You know what, Roche? We know you know what I'm saying? You like doing, we need you to come on back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you, I mean, just realistically, like in certain stuff, like we talked about doing the podcast, if I was making money doing this, do you think I would be going to the post office working them crazy hours, delivering boxes all day? Of course not. No. I would much rather be doing this. Yeah. And there was a time even in that, I would much have rather been doing work for the minute and not having to worry about if my light's going to get cut off. I ain't trying to ball. I just want to make sure that when the rent due, I can pay the rent. That I ain't got to worry about the lights getting cut off. That if I don't feel like cooking, I can go. I ain't got to check my bank account to go to Subway or Bojangles. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a good feeling when you don't even have to check your account. You can just go and swipe it and you good.
You ain't waiting to pay. You ain't waiting to pay.
It's a bad feeling, and I don't know if y'all ever done it. Like, man, I be checking, making sure. Okay, yeah, I can get that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I be having to check because I got so much coming out. I be forgetting. Man. I have to check and be like, okay, yeah, I think I can do that today. But it's a good feeling when you
don't gotta do that.
Dude, I didn't know how much money it is. Hundreds of millions of dollars available. Yeah. But when a lot of these places get it, they go build a building. And for what and for whom?
Or they hire a crooked person, or a crooked person gets in the office and they may not go in greedy, but they be like, this money's just sitting here. And they just they put somebody in power and they just start to.
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about from a church standpoint. Like, let's say you were a church, like what y'all was doing. Y'all shouldn't have had to been coming out of pocket to be blessing people. Right. If people was about their business, y'all could have gotten some of that grant money and they could have been funding you all to do that. And I guarantee you, if you were able to do that on a consistent basis, they wouldn't have had to find. They would have had to use some money to build a new building because some of them people y'all was reaching would have been coming. Where y'all go to church at? We want to, if y'all church doing that, we need to come to y'all church. You see what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got to beg people to come because they going to want to know, man, these people doing the work. We got to be in that building. But,
yeah. That's a lot, but that's real. Writeous Rhema, we appreciate you coming through.
Oh, you got anybody you want to shout out before you go? And where can let people know where they can find you as well? So shout outs and where can people find you?
Okay, so you can find me I'm on YouTube, Writeous Rhema. I'm on Instagram, Writeous Rhema, LinkedIn, Writeous Rhema, Facebook, Writeous Rhema. So just find me on Writeous Rhema everywhere, and Twitter. Shout out to my new publisher, Elite Publications. They're publishing my first book. It'll be called Gaslit, Escaping the Narcissist Pit. It's going to be released on June 1st, so look forward to that. That's it.
Yeah, we definitely going to have you coming back because I got a whole theory about toxicity and narcissists and everything like that. So we definitely got to have you back to talk about that.
I would like that, and I have all the information under the screen, under the description of the video. You know what I'm saying? So as you like and you comment on the video, you can check her out at all what she just said, to check her out. If you want to book her in photography, you need a word or whatever that she's offering, it'll be there for you. So, but y'all, till next time, continue with that executive mindset.
And most definitely keep it presidential.
Salute.
Arrivederci. Bow.